Hey, welcome to the Nursing Dose with your host, Dr. Farah Lorette. Today, I want to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, personal branding for career and business growth, particularly when it comes to healthcare professionals, specifically nurses. Okay. So, why am I talking about personal branding? It's because when I was a new nurse, I didn't know anything about personal branding, and I didn't realize that not managing my personal brand was hurting my professional growth and stopping me from advancing in my career. And it's not really until I started my business 4 years ago as a nurse career coach is when I really realized the power of personal branding, both for your career and business growth. Okay. So, this is why I want to break this down to you today. Okay. Also, for those who don't know me, I'm a nurse career coach and personal branding strategist for nurses, helping them to level up, land their dream job in less than 90 days, and also helping aspiring nurse entrepreneurs and nurse entrepreneurs make money moves and make business moves. All right. And of course, if you've been following me, you saw that earlier today, I dropped my book launch announcement. That's right. As I mentioned before, I've been working on a personal branding book entitled Nursing I can't even talk. Nurses Making Business Moves, Personal Branding for Career and Business Growth. And it's going to come out October 21st, 2025. Right. And why did I pick October 21? Because the number 21 has a lot of significance for me. And I share that in the post. So go ahead and check it out. I also put a link where you can sign up to know when the book is ready so that you can actually pre purchase the book and support. Okay. So again, October 21, 2025. It's going down. And this is my second book that I am going to be launching. Of course, after the first book, Nurses Making Money Moves, A Nurse's Guide to Starting a Business. All right, so let's get into personal branding, right? Why is personal branding important? Why should you care? And what is personal branding, right? So if you happen to be watching, please let me know where you're watching from, what city, what country. Any comments or questions, drop them in the live. Even if you happen to be watching the replay, I'll go back and take a look at it, okay? So there are various definitions of personal branding, and I've done a lot of research on this myself, like reading different books, different podcasts, listening to different podcasts and things like that in my own journey of building my personal brand, right? So for you nurses out there that think you don't have a personal brand, you actually do have a personal brand. Whether you know it or not, you have a personal brand. And essentially, you are the brand. Okay. And you don't necessarily have to have a business to think about personal branding and how to start managing it. Okay. So essentially, personal branding has various definitions, and I'll start with one of them. It's really how the public perceives you, right? Almost like your reputation. What are you known for? What do you do? What problems do you solve? What values you have? What do you really stand for? What impact are you trying to make? Right? So for me, when I started actively managing my brand, being intentional about the things I was doing, demonstrating, putting out there in person, on social media, I had to really look at everything as a whole, right? Personal branding is really just sharing parts of yourself, of who you already are. It's just personal branding is just being you. It's not reinventing and creating something that you're not, right? It's just demonstrating your skills, your experiences, and showing your personality kind of to the world, right? If you have a business, right, a product or service, a lot of times what you do is you start to market that product or service, right? But before you start marketing anything, if you don't have a personal brand, you don't have a foundation, you don't have a mission, a vision, you don't have values, a purpose, impact, if you don't know yourself very well and you don't know who you serve and what is important to you in terms of what impact you want to make, what problems you want to solve, it's going to be very different for you to articulate, right? And if you don't know yourself well enough, other people will start managing that brand for you, right? Other people will start putting things out there about you that may not necessarily be true because it's their perception of you. So then this is why it's so important, because you want to have a more accurate reflection of who you are. And this is why it's so important to build the personal brand. Okay. So I have a couple notes here. Like I said, it's the process of really promoting yourself as an individual and letting people know about you. And I'm not talking about like, you don't have to go out there and like tell your whole life, your whole business, air out your dirty laundry, all that stuff. Yes, you can be authentic, but you can share parts of yourself that you feel comfortable sharing. You don't have to share everything, right? So for me, when I started getting really clear on my messaging, clear about who it is I am, what I do, the impact I want to make, particularly in my profession in the nursing industry, people started noticing, right? So most people know me as Farah or Dr. Laurent, the nurse career coach for new nurses. That's what they associate me with, right? They also know me for other things, right? So I'm also a speaker. One of the big topics that I speak about when I go to speaking engagements, conferences, workshops, I speak a lot about personal branding and nurse entrepreneurship, or professional development and career advancement. Those are the three buckets that I really talk about a lot. And of course, social media content and digital presence, all that can go under entrepreneurship, or it can also go into personal branding. But those are the things that I'm really known for, right? And then when people describe me, like my traits and the things I value, things like that, it always typically surrounds, Farah is very bold. She's confident when she communicates, stubborn sometimes, right? Because I'm very persistent and consistent, like always showing up. People have even given me nicknames like Darlene, for example. Shout out to Darlene, who's a wellness joy strategist who came to the conference, Nurses Making Money Moves conference. She has coined me ASAP because she says that when I have an idea, when I want to do something, I execute quickly, right? And that speaks to the type of person I am, the type of work that I do. That's just what building a personal brand is. Also, a quick way to know this is like, let's say you want to become a speaker, you have to manage your digital presence online, right? If you're not creating content surrounding your messaging, your signature topics, your talks, and someone's, wanting to bring you on as a speaker and you don't have any past speaking social proof, like you don't have any images of you speaking, proof that you've been a speaker, anything like that, it's going to be very difficult for you to get more speaking engagements, But can you start? Yes, you can, right? But that's what I talk about when I say being intentional about building that brand. Or maybe you are speaking, but you're not capturing it, right? So I talk to a lot of nurses all the time, and they'll say like, "Hey, I was, asked to speak at this conference, or I'm going to speak here." And what do I tell them? Make sure that you have someone professional who's capturing that, whether it's in photos or videos, so that you can have, a speaker reel, you can have some professional photos for, you know, whether you're building a website, you don't have one yet, or whatever it is, but you have something as social proof. And when people go to Google and put your name in Google, that's another form of credibility. So if you've written articles, publications on whatever topic that you are a subject matter expert on, they're going to see that and they're going to say, "Hey, I see that, Dr. Laurent speaks a lot about personal branding. I have an upcoming event for nurses or healthcare professionals, and I would love her to speak on this topic, or I would love her to speak on nurse entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship in healthcare at this topic." They can go back and see all the past conferences, different articles I've written about personal branding or entrepreneurship, and that is proof. All right. So another thing is personal branding sometimes gets confused with marketing, and marketing is really a short-term thing. This is for business. If you are starting a business, you have to be clear on your personal branding before you can start marketing, right? And I always go back to the clarity piece. You need to be clear on what it is you want to communicate, right? So first you have to start with a personal brand, then you can start marketing. Marketing is typically something more short-term. Marketing changes very frequently, and it's more to market a product or a service or something like that, right? Or maybe you have an upcoming offer. For me, I actually have an event coming up called Elevate, a business mastermind specifically for nurses and healthcare professionals looking to elevate their mindset, their brand, and their business, right? So I've been marketing for that, right? Personal branding is very different, right? Like I said, it's about how people perceive you, how they know you to be, the experiences that you create when you're around people, how they remember you, how they feel about you. So for me, any event that you're going to come to is going to embody my personal brand, which is pillars of having fun, there's going to be education, but it's going to be relevant, need to know, applicable. It's not going to be fluff. It's going to be colorful. Like I said, very dynamic, a really good vibe and ambiance. I love music. I love networking and really building community. So that is part of my personal brand as well. So this is what I wanted to kind of come on here and talk about. And what are the benefits, right, of personal branding? The benefits are people get to know you. When people get to know you, they have the ability to be like, "Hey, I think Fair's cool. I like her. I trust her," right? So the ultimate currency of personal branding is trust. And then you're like, "You know what? I might check out that event she's having, or I might check out that course she just dropped for new graduate nurses because she's been showing up here consistently on LinkedIn for the last 4 years, helping nursing students and new grads. And she has just put out this course. So I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to be fire because I trust her and it's a credible source," right? Then they're going to gravitate towards you. You're going to be more attractive. And it's a magnetic type of marketing once you get into the marketing phase of whatever it is that you want to do, because people feel like they already know you, right? So it's not so much that like you're really selling to them, you're being of service and you have things that will solve their current problem or situation or challenge, right? So that's the power of personal branding. Ultimate currency is trust. So no matter what you do, if you show up consistently, you're clear on your messaging, you have good character, you're charismatic, people will remember you, you will be top of mind. And that's when you're actively managing your personal brand so that you can attract more opportunities in your career and or business. And I'm talking attracting opportunities that you're not even seeking out. I'm talking people will refer other people to you. People will speak your name in rooms that you're not even in because you have such a strong personal brand. When you have that great connection with people, that emotional connection, you're relatable, people will support you. Personal branding is like building a community, a tribe where people want to be a part of. It's like a movement, right? And that's what I described at the Nurses Making Money Moves conference. I've now built this community of female entrepreneurs and nurses who are collaborating, sharing information, celebrating each other, uplifting each other. And that is part of my personal brand. And that's why it's so important to build a personal brand, especially in the future. Let's say, like, maybe you want to write a book. You don't want to not have a personal brand, like managing it actively and consciously. And then later you're like, oh yeah, by the way, like, I got this book coming out, but like nobody knows you. You haven't been consistent. You're not visible. It might be a little bit harder for people to support you. So that's why it's important to like really start building it early in your career, even as a nursing student. Okay. So this is why I decided to write the book on personal branding specifically for nurses. So I hope that this was helpful for you to really understand personal branding, the importance. And, don't think if you're just starting out in business that you have to have things all figured out right away, right? You don't need to have a fancy website. You don't have to pay a lot of money to do all these things. It's just really sharing your origin story, sharing a little bit about you, your values, what you want to do, and just being authentic and starting to be consistent, being on video, showing up live, supporting other people, mentoring, networking, and giving value, right? So this is what I've been doing the last 4 years, is coming here on LinkedIn and creating content, which takes hours. But to me, it's important because it's part of me actively managing my personal brand. And again, it's given me many opportunities, speaking engagements. I'm actually going to be speaking in Hollywood, Florida in a couple of weeks, and I'll be speaking about nurse entrepreneurship and also personal branding. So definitely check that out. I'll drop the link if you are interested to come. It's in Hollywood, Florida, a leadership conference. A lot of nurses from everywhere will be there. Other opportunities, I've gotten paid social media content creation opportunities just from building my personal brand and showing up consistently. I've been asked to go on Indeed, a webinar that they had, collaborated with other creators, been on various podcasts, just so many opportunities have stemmed from this. And then of course, launching my first conference, I had an overwhelming amount of support from my community, nurses. So I'm very appreciative of that. And that's really the power of personal branding. And really, it just positions you as a thought leader, an industry expert, and the authority in your industry. Simply it, right? So really, to end, I would say if you're not sure, start writing down what's important to you, what are your values, what impact you want to make, what do you want to be known for, and write down some values and traits, and then start asking people around you, to describe you in one sentence, or at least, top three or top five words that they would describe you in. And if it's not matching up and it doesn't seem right, then you kind of have to start managing that brand to what it is that is more accurately reflective of really who you are. All right. So that's really it for me. I hope this was helpful. And like I said, if you have any questions or comments, drop them in the chat. And I will put the link where you can sign up for my book, Nurses Making Business Moves. I had to think about it for a minute. Personal branding for career and business growth. Okay, so you can sign up for the wait list. I'll drop that link. What else? The conference, I'll drop that link. It's next year, March 6th and 7th. The mastermind, if you're interested in coming to the business mastermind, where I literally break down in one weekend everything that is important to start and grow a business in this weekend. It's so transformational. You'll literally learn and apply all the stuff that if you waited a year, you probably wouldn't even do in a year. So if you're interested to learn more about that, just DM me. And of course, my new course for nursing students and new graduate nurses called New Nurse to Dream Role, you could find on my website, nursefair.com. So I'll drop that course as well, so you could check that out. I know I have a lot going on, but this is what it is. It's my nurse creator era. All right. So I'll talk to you soon. I hope this was